Okay, first things first, let's get this sticky pork going. All right, we need a marinade and a very good one at that. We're gonna start with some hoisin sauce, a little bit of light soy sauce, and a little bit of dark soy sauce. Mix that together. And I'm using a pork belly here, a skinless pork belly today because I'm all about the sticky today, not about the crispy skin for this one. And just pour that marinade all over the top. Get your hands in there, give that pork a nice little massage with all those lovely flavors. Now, because this is a very sweet marinade, I'm gonna add a little bit of water just to the side of that pork because I don't want it to stick or burn too much on the bottom of the pan. So you want the water about halfway up the side of your pork belly. Now wrap that in foil. And that goes into a very low oven for about 2.5 hours or until it's really sticky and fork tender. So while that pork is doing that thing, we've got plenty of time to get our other ingredients ready. And one of the key things for me about a banh mi sandwich is having that pickled vegetable, that sweet tanginess, the crunchiness. So I'm gonna do some pickled carrot, and all we need to do is just add a little bit of sugar and some white vinegar. Mix that up and just set that aside until you are ready to assemble your sandwich. All right, let's have a look at what we've got. Ah, that pork looks so epic already, but I'm just gonna pop this back under a really hot grill in the oven because I just wanna get some color on the top of that pork. So just while that pork is cooking, I'm gonna get everything else ready for my sandwich. Now I need some cucumber. I just want some nice slices, cut those into battens, and some red chili. And then that carrot that we've had pickling, what I want to do is grab a hold of that and really squeeze and get rid of all of that liquid so that we're left with a nice pickly carrot without all the juices. And now we just have to wait for that pork. Would you look at that? Heaven. Now this pork is incredibly tender, so I'm just going to carefully get it out onto my board. Just slice through. Now that I'm barely even touching that pork and it's just falling apart. Oh, amazing. I'll just sneak one small piece. So good. That's very exciting. For your banh mi, you definitely want a really great crusty bread roll. And there are a few elements here that you need. So first of all, you just need some pate. I've just got a pork pate here. And then I like to add some mayonnaise. Not strictly necessary, but just like adding extra bits and pieces. Okay, and I want some of that pickled carrot and some cucumber and some of that ridiculously amazing pork. Now I just want a couple of sprigs of coriander and just a sprinkling of chili. And that, my friends, is one hell of a sandwich. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna be busy for a while. This is really good.
Let me show you something.
Okay, so beef fur is the one that most of you guys would know about and probably have eaten, but there's also chicken fur. Don't leave the chicken fur out because actually it's way quicker to make at home and way easier. So that's what we're going to do today. And to start off with, what we want to do is create some aromatics, some nice roasted aromatics. I'm going to start off with some onion, and I just want to cut that in half. And that goes straight into the pan. I still want the skin on. I want to get some of that sort of charry flavor on this. So into a dry frying pan. And then I want the same thing with my ginger. I'm just going to cut that in half and get that straight into the pan, skin on as well. Now you just want to be turning these over every so often. I want them in here for a good 10 minutes at least. You've got to be a little patient here. I really want some nice dark color on my onion skin, and on the ginger as well. So I've got some cinnamon stick and some star anise that's going in. Just move that pan around, get everything nice and toasty. Okay, so the color is looking good on these, and this beautiful fragrant aroma in my kitchen now, which is so good. Now I'm gonna get these out onto a chopping board, and I just wanna peel off this first layer of onion skin. Doesn't matter if a little bit of skin sticks to the onion, I just don't want all of that skin on there. And now to help these aromatics release even more of their flavor, I'm just gonna slice them in half again to get some of those juices going out into our broth. Now chicken, I've got a whole chicken that just goes straight into a large pot. Okay, now you want enough water to cover the chicken and give you lots of nice soupy broth. And now the onion and the ginger and those lovely toasted spices. And now just a little bit of seasoning here at the beginning so that we can get some nice flavour infused into our chicken. We'll do a little bit more seasoning at the end. I'm going to add some fish sauce. And then because I don't want to colour the stock too much or have too much of a strong fish sauce flavour, I'm also going to season this with some salt, a good teaspoon. Now the secret here, guys, is that we don't want to overboil or rapidly boil this chicken. What we want is a nice gentle simmer, and that will give us the best chicken and the best broth for our finished dish. So after a few minutes I can see that the water is just starting to barely bubble. That's the kind of simmer that we want. What you'll find is you'll get a little bit of kind of cloudy, scummy stuff that'll rise up to the surface. And at this point you want to just take yourself a ladle and scoop that off as it rises to the top. And then I just keep like a bowl of water handy nearby just to clean off my spoon each time before I go back in there. And you can keep doing this as the chicken cooks, and that way you'll end up with a nice clear broth at the end. And now this is the kind of gentle simmer that I want to keep going for another hour. So I'm going to turn this down just a little bit and let that simmer away. Okay, so this is smelling amazing. I love the smell of the star anise and the ginger, and I'm just doing one final scoop of some of that stuff that's risen to the top, just to make sure we've got a really nice, clean, clear broth. Okay, time to get my chicken out, drain off as much of that soup as possible. And now I'm just going to start slicing up this chicken. And look at all that glorious chicken. So this is the plus to cooking the broth the way we did. You could simmer the broth for hours and that would be great. You'd get more chicken flavour, but it would also mean that the chicken meat itself is kind of unusable because it gets quite tasteless. By just simmering it gently for an hour, we've got beautiful, tasty, moist chicken and a really nice chicken broth. Okay, now for the soup itself. I just want to strain that delicious broth. And look at that lovely colour. Now pour that stock back into a clean saucepan, and here's where we do our final seasoning adjustments. So let me taste the broth first and see what's going on. It's so delicious. You really get a beautiful, just fragrant whisper of that star anise, and I can taste all that chickeny goodness in there. So good. What we do need is a little more salt. Now, because we did just start with water, remember, you need to quite heavily season this broth to really bring out the flavours. And then I'm also going to add just a little bit of fish sauce as well. Oh yes, right on. That is tasting miraculous. So now let's get on with the rest of our noodle bowl. So I've just got some rolling boiling water, and I'm going to add my rice stick noodles. Okay, these noodles are just cooked. Don't overcook them because that's when you get gluggy noodles. And I'm going to drain those off, and time to assemble. So the noodles go in, and then I want some chicken. I like a mixture of white and dark meat. That's just my preference. Fine pieces of onion, just sort of spread those out. And a really decent handful of finely chopped spring onion. Time to get that steaming soup into our bowl. Ah, look at that, so satisfying. And there you go, a chicken noodle soup you'll be coming back to time and time again. Now let me show you how I like to eat this bowl. So I grab myself some bean shoots and then a really decent helping of Thai basil leaves. Let's pick those straight into there. And then a good squeeze of lime juice and a few little slices of chili. And then you've got to give everything a mix. That soup is so good. And those noodles. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to jump at any chance to have pancakes for dinner. Why not? These ones are really beautifully crispy and savoury, and they're so fresh when you've got that beautiful nuoc cham dressing and all the herbs and everything. It's just so good. Anyway, let's get on to the pancake batter itself. Now this is really cool, guys, because it happens to be also gluten-free and dairy-free and egg-free, actually. So if you've got anyone that needs those sorts of things, then this is the recipe for you. So rice flour is what we're using, and now some coconut milk, some water, and then for that sunshine golden yellow color, I want a good dash of turmeric and a pinch of salt. Just give that a whisk. You should be thinking to yourself, wow, this looks too thin. That's when you know you've got it right, because that really thin batter is going to get super crispy in the pan. That's exactly what we want. Now, as with any crepe batter, I always find a little resting time of about 10 to 15 minutes tends to help with the texture of the pancake in the pan. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to make our Vietnamese nuoc cham dressing. Very simple. I just want some fish sauce, some white vinegar, some sugar, some finely chopped red chili, and some garlic. Just give that a whisk. And the one final element we want here is some lime juice. Just squeeze and push down on that just to release all those juices inside. This dressing is truly one of the most magical dressings I think that there is in Southeast Asia. I just love the combination of the tangy and the sour and the sweet and the salty. It's everything. I do always find though that sometimes I need to adjust according to how sour the lime is, or your fish sauce could be saltier than mine, so always give it a taste. What you really want here is a very nice balance of all those different flavors, and then a little hint of that garlic and chili at the end. Now for the bits and pieces that go inside of your pancake, there are endless possibilities here. So some of my favorites are prawns, fresh prawn, cooked prawns, pork, a combination of pork and prawns. I'm just doing a chicken version today. I love this because I can just like pick up a rotisserie chicken or a barbecue chicken from my supermarket on the way home and get this done, which is good. Or leftovers, good for leftovers. So I've got chicken, I've got carrots, some shredded carrots, some bean shoots here, and some coriander. Obviously, if you're one of those coriander adverse people, you can leave that one out. Don't shout about the coriander below. Anyway, let's get down to the cooking part, and I want a pan that's around about 22 centimeters in diameter. I don't want one that's too, well, you could make a giant crispy pancake if you want. The size doesn't really matter, but if you want 3 medium-sized kind of pancakes here, you want a 22 centimeter. A little bit of oil, so you want enough oil to cover the bottom of that pan. We want a particular kind of crispy lattice work pattern happening on the bottom of our pancake, and we need a little bit of oil to do that. The other secret here is that I want this pan and the oil nice and hot. I really want to hear that sizzle the second we start putting the pancake batter in there. Okay, this might take a little bit of practice first go, but you'll get it. Pour some into the center and start swirling that pan vigorously afterwards. Now I'm just going to cover one side of the pancake with all my filling ingredients. So I've got my chicken and my shredded carrot, bean shoots, and some sprigs of coriander. Now the key here is to let this keep sizzling away in that pan until we get a really crispy outside of the pancake, and we start to see some nice color on the pancake as well. Okay, see we've got that beautiful pattern there. We don't quite have the color yet though, so I'm gonna let it keep going. Okay, the color is looking good. You can hear that sizzling happening. I wanna fold that pancake over. And then because I'm doing about 3 here, I'm just gonna pop this one on a tray. So when it's time to serve up, I just like to pop one of these onto a plate, or you can put them all out on a platter, up to you. And then you want a little sprinkling of spring onion on top. And then the best thing is to serve it with some lettuce leaves and some mint leaves as well. So let me show you how it goes. Now you want to cut a piece of that pancake off. Listen to how crispy that is. And then take a lettuce leaf, drizzle over some of that sauce, plenty of the dressing, yum. A few mint leaves. And then you wrap everything up to a neat little bundle, fairly neat anyway, and then dig in. The combination here, guys, is so magical. You've got the crunchy turmeric flavor of the pancake, and then those crunchy vegetables, that beautiful dressing, which is sweet and tangy and all the things, and then everything combined with the fresh herbs. Tell you what, you just can't stop eating it. If you've got any comments or questions, pop them below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not hit that subscribe button plus the little bell one, and that way you'll get notified every time I release a new video. Thanks, guys.